नमस्ते जी नमस्ते and you are going to get rejected. अरे ये क्या बोल रहे हैं? Yes, rejection is an absolute sine qua non part of life. It is just going to happen. You may just get rejected by the love of your life. Oh, first and foremost, welcome to Courtroom by TLOI Ki Atma. Forgot my usual intro. So, you might just get rejected by the love of your life, and you might face an existential crisis because of that. Now, hair क्या चक्कर? Let's try to remove the wrinkles on the shirt, but I don't think that will go away. Any which way. तो अब होगा क्या कि जिंदगी में कुछ ना कुछ तो गड़बड़ तो आएगी ही आएगी. You might just get rejected via a job, via a company. Mm, you may just get rejected in sales, or perhaps even selling yourself in a very transactional sort of a relationship. And you will feel as if you are the worst thing to have ever gotten created just because somebody did not accept you. So, that is just not the case. That is absolutely not the case. You are just an English poem being written in a maths ka paper. Even if you were the best one on the planet, that's the best poem ever, you will still get rejected. And don't come at me with the pronunciation of poem. I like to call it as poem. You will still fetch a zero. That doesn't mean the poem itself was any bad. That doesn't mean that anything needs to be rectified with that particular or with you. That just means that you are operating in an environment which doesn't really value you. Now, I reside in a particular area of Delhi, specifically Northwest Delhi. I am surrounded by traders here, traders who specifically operate out of Chandni Chowk, and they are devilishly rich. They're so hideously rich that they can perhaps buy out the entire town, in fact, if they wish to. But they do not have the polish of South Delhi, the finesse, the linguistic expression or the verbal expression of perhaps that Angrez Panti or that overall finesse is mostly just not there. So I have a lot of friends who are these people. They are factory owners. Some people operate out of Sonipat, etc. And they are hideously rich. Now, as per them, their only judgment in life of success is I'll give you their line only, and some of them watch these videos, so nothing against you particularly. I mean, do not block me out from my own friend circle. But which way? So their only judgment is quote unquote kitne bakse kamaye. I got a offline comment basically on discussion कि इन वाले videos पे तो ज़्यादा कोई like views आते नहीं हैं, क्या करते रहते हैं, ये है वो है. खैर any which way. तो कितने बक्से कमाए इस बेसिकली कितने करोड़ कमाए, ये छोड़ यार, जितनी बढ़ाई बढ़ाई की बातें छोड़, ये सब इंटेलेक्चुअल बनती छोड़, ये सब बातें एक ही यार्ड स्टिक है. सो बेसिकली आई गेट रिजेक्टेड. सो आई एम बेसिकली an individual who quote unquote has not exactly made it in life. I know their feeling inside and out. And I've also been rejected a couple of times, at least in my life, by people who I thought that I loved and they should have liked me. I mean, you get rejected. It's a very humbling experience. You can't satiate, by your design, anyone else's preferences. So then people get into a tailspin, a very existential crisis that that perhaps there's something wrong with me. Now, for example, if I were to presume that there is something wrong with me, I won't be able to live here, right? Because these folks, they are just into money, and more and more and more money, right? So as per them, हम तो भाई हमारी तो yardstick दूसरी है. मतलब as per me, I'm perhaps the wealthiest person on the planet because of the things that I know. And I'm quite happy with my profession, where I am in life, generally speaking, or where I was able to reach given the circumstances in my own life. Of course, life, things could have been a lot better. बट वो तो खैर सबकी जिंदगी की कहानी है. बट इफ आई वर टू अलाउ देयर yardstick to basically to affect me, it will, I mean, it will practically speaking destroy me. So when any time that you get rejected by, let us say, an individual that you loved, whatever gender that it is, usually, in male female relationship this happens a lot, and that's why a lot many movies are centered around this fact. There is nothing particularly wrong with you. You are just an English ki poem being written in a maths ka paper. So you will need to find your English ka paper in which you score the maximum amount of marks. Like for example, in the legal circles, that anytime that I've been into a lok adalat, anytime that I've been to, let us say, the Kashmiri Gate Registrar Office, or anytime that I am in a circle of mostly lawyers and judges, they mostly recognize me. Not everyone, of course, but काफी लोगों को पता रहता है कि ये व्यक्ति कौन है. And then some people come say hello, some people come, some people really respect you, some people tend to stay away from you. But that's how it is. So, but my value in those circles is sky high. One of my friends also owns a printing press who pretty much publishes for Tata McGraw Hill. He prints basically. तो उसके पास कोई स्क्रैप का मटेरियल एक बारी एक दो पढ़ा होगा तो उसने मुझे एक दो वो बुक्स ला के दी. दे वर फॉर सी सैट एंड लक्ष्मीकांत लेटेस्ट एडिशन. नाउ फॉर हिम इट इज स्क्रैप, बट फॉर मी इट इज अ गोल्ड माइन, because using those books, so now the same book, in his environment it is absolutely scrap, but for me it is a gold mine, because now that book has been placed in the right environment, right? And that is the very reason that we like to remain in or stay in localities, reside in localities where similar natured people are there. Because if you are a completely putha person in a putha environment, I would say in Punjabi, as we like to call it, you won't be valued, and you will start to basically go into a tailspin, as I like to call it, as in your plane will get hit and basically it will be in a tailspin, and then eventually you're going to crash and burn. So anytime that you're rejected, surely we all can improve. I mean, I'm not against improvement, but perhaps there is not much wrong with you on an existential level. So people usually go into a whirlwind of depression when they face rejection. Some people go absolute psycho towards the other person. They start stalking them. Then they want their saman back. Um, Another phenomenon that I'll just come to is basically the rich girl dating the electric, or rather the battery high, the supercharged guy, but he doesn't come from her very similar social status in the ages of around 20 to 25. We'll just come to that. I hope I do not forget that before wrapping up the video. So then they basically go into depression, and then all sort of crap basically starts to happen inside of your head. Ki perhaps why, how do I make this person love me? And I'll tell you what, attraction is not logic. Attraction is never a choice. That here is a list A, B, C, D, bullet point banake, that these are the pros of the person, these are the cons of the person, now love this person. This never really happens. Either you are attracted to a person or you're not attracted to a person. Now that is a lot of factors. Maybe the way the person is speaking. I've also heard a female friend of mine, not a girlfriend, but a female friend of mine say ki, I'm really fascinated by that guy because of his ultra high class hand movements. And I was noticing कि भाई ये क्या मतलब क्या क्या एक the other person judges you on. Now that guy, of course, was the heartthrob of our school, and was the son of an ex air chief. So of course, he was extremely polished. And then of course, the education coupled out with the Ivy Leagues of the world, and then basically, they really impress upon you a lot, subconsciously, at least on that female they did. However, does that mean that that pure heartthrob of the school will be able to patao every woman on the planet? I think not. Right. So, for example, let us say that I am pursuing someone in love. Now, किस किताब में लिखा है that just because you love somebody doesn't necessarily mean that the other person is bound to love you? I mean, you hold on to your love. That's just about it. If you truly love someone, truly in the sense, well, you just love them without getting anything back in return. So, for example, let us say that if you have a rare antique car that you absolutely love, but you cannot drive it on the road, or perhaps It is you still held on to it after so many years. It has no utility whatsoever for you, and well, you will still want to hold on. You truly love it. That's why a mother's love is unconditional, because only the mother can truly love, because mother's love is divine basically. And anytime that you love someone, it's basically it has to have a maternal instinct towards it without being said. So you want to take care of the person. You want to ensure that they've had their food, they've had their, they've had the water without them asking you for it. That's basically little things via which you love the other person. Now, coming back to the point is that not everyone is going to love you, no matter who the hell, whosoever that you are, and it's going to be a very humbling experience. You will just get rejected by a lot of people. So for example, let us say that if I were pursuing someone in love, and if let us say that that girl is sort of party type, and into regular partying and regular going to Bali for a vacation, etc., etc., and I am this, into legal education, and basically having these sort of conversations, unless and until this person's preference is basically having these sort of conversations, they will basically not fall in love with me. That is for sure. First. Second, they may just not prefer the way God has designed me. That doesn't necessarily mean, I'm using myself as an example because this is not a live session, but this doesn't necessarily mean that I look bad, but it certainly means that perhaps I do not look good enough for them specifically. Do you understand? Right? So some people, some women just might prefer very flashy sort of Karan Aujla sort of guys. For a man such as me, it becomes right next to impossible for me to even induce them to like me. And that's how life works. And there is absolutely, that means that there is absolutely nothing wrong with me. I just need to find my paper, my English ka paper, if I'm an English poem, right? Or if I'm a mathematics ki problem, and if I'm the best mathematics solution, me finding vice versa, basically, in the English ka paper. So I will need to find that person who has the preferences, who's basically going to choose me. So usually in the 20 to 25s, now we come back to that topic. So a lot of these rich upper class women, um, with coming from high social status families, they do tend to get attracted to the sort of quote unquote, you know, a very a person who gives them excitement. Basically, this is a pattern that I've noted in life. This is a person who's not coming from a rich background, but has a spinal cord and has a fair bit amount of confidence. That is why you will usually find a lot of pretty girls who are very young, who are dating absolute jackasses of the world, and people are unable to figure out why. Because they give them something, or they provide that excitement, that battery in their life that is basically not present. That is what they're seeking out at that particular age. And then basically they start dating, they date 5 7 years, and the moment when it comes to the question of marriage, usually a breakup ensues. Even if it goes to a marriage, a divorce is pretty much guaranteed within 3 to 6 months, because jumping out of your social circle and basically doing these things, social hierarchy, social status, it works out in movies. It doesn't work out in real life. Mostly it does not, unless and until both the parties are hell-bent on making it work out. Then everything bars out to human will. But those are like 0.001% of cases. So usually क्या होता है फिर उसके बाद, जैसे मैंने एक लाइन पढ़ी थी कि बाद में frontal cortex develop हो जाता है और आपको कोई पसंद नहीं आता. So as the same individual, the same young girl, when she keeps on maturing, she keeps on growing up, and when she reaches her 30s, suddenly she's looking at the world with a completely different perspective than when she was 20. But the trouble is, she has already made those commitments. Oh, I love you, I'm yours, you are mine, falana tamkana, for eternity, you are my forever, etc., whatever, you give me butterflies in my stomach and all that, right? And then basically, 10 years down the line, that person is not giving you butterflies, but it's basically that person is giving you the creeps. And the very same person, and now how do you go back and make a U-turn on your statements? Because now you're grown up. फिर सामने वाला कह रहा है तुम बदल गई हो या तुम बदल गए हो, all those statements. हाँ भाई, तो by age, alongside age, everyone just बदलोस. And that's what it is. So that's why usually पुराने, मतलब हमारे यहाँ जो पंजाबी में जो कहावत है, मतलब in the sense कि जो, this is a very common way of saying a कहावत है, सियाने कह गए ने. सियाने मतलब the wise. You don't jump out of social circles. Usually women can marry up, but the man can never, man can never marry up, as in, if the woman is coming from a higher social status, social background, and you bring her down, she will face immense difficulties, and basically your life is going to get ruined, because you will never be able um, to basically to make her happy mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and eventually she's going to go, because she is coming from an entirely different background. That's why people with educational qualifications tend to similar educational qualifications tend to gel together. Doctors seek out doctors, UPSC guys seek out UPSC guys, judges want lawyers or judges, etc., etc. So everyone just wants to same stay in their own same key bandwidth. And the moment two different world meets, it's a movie. That's why all of these movies in which the Garib ladka is able to patao the Amir ladki, they show it as a form of discrimination, but in real life, it pretty much never is the case that the Amir ladki is going to settle down with a very Garib आदमी. पुरानी कहावत एक और भी है कि जब तक मिडिल क्लास का लड़का अपने पैरों पे खड़ा होने लायक होता है, तब तक उसकी माशूक के बच्चों बच्चे अपने पैरों पे खड़े हो जाते हैं किसी और के साथ शादी होने के बाद, ऑफ कोर्स. तो ये जीवन की सच्चाई है. But you are going to get rejected. I am going to get rejected. Everyone just gets rejected. Like for example, let us say I am running TLOI Academy. Not everyone takes admissions at with us. Sometimes there's a price mismatch. Sometimes there's a speaking style mismatch. Sometimes there's a complete gentry mismatch. Sometimes the location doesn't suit people. So you're getting rejected left, right, and center. But you're also getting accepted by a lot many people. So, for example, we on our other channel there is about a lakh plus subscribers, and by God's grace, I have worked with 15, 20 or 1,000 people by now in my own education career via, I'm saying, mock test associations, batch associations, offline batches. A lot many people have accepted me as well as a teacher, right? And that should give me pride, and it does. It absolutely does. So for someone to value me, so for example, if I were to marry around in this circle, in my local friend circle, I need to have 50 crores or 100 crores with me. It's as simple as that. Or a Porsche, or because these people, their exam, that exam basically only scores you on money. तो कह रहे जी तो हम फिर क्या करें, तो फिर हाँ, तो फिर आप या तो फिर you position yourself in a different circle. Therein, let us say you want to marry in that circle, then you will need to meet people, and perhaps some people are going to like you, some people are not going to like you. That's the reality of life. And mostly people do end up meeting at least one individual whom they truly liked, loved, whatever. I do not wish to get into more details of what true love is, but they get rejected, and then they are like, they're sobbing their hearts out. I know it is tough. Again, for me to, it is very easy for me to pontificate कि हाँ भाई यही logic है. हाँ, इसको समझ के then grieve. Grieving takes about 3 years. Then you have to let it go. You have to बहाओ the astis, as we discussed previously as well. जिंदगी में ना छोटे छोटे शव होते हैं. So corpses basically. तो corpses में ह्यूमन फ्लैश के बारे में बात नहीं कर रहा. आपके एम्बिशन, आपके प्यार, आपके सपने, वो छोटे छोटे टाइम पे आपको बहाने पड़ते हैं, नहीं तो आप भूत बन जाएंगे. That's what it is, because you're not letting go. If you do not let go of your identity post your death, you are pretty much a ghost, because you're latching onto it. There is a reason why nature has made you forgotten all of your previous incarnations, so that you can live this one fully. You have another shot at life. अरे वो तो हो गया, तुम छोड़ो, अब इसको कुछ करो. That's why you forget. But yet we want to remember. We want to do past life regressions. We want to find. है ना? क्या करना है? कर्ण को भी बोला था कृष्ण जी ने. कर्ण महाभारत में बोलता है कि भाई साहब सुनो, मुझे सब मतलब होगा पिछला जन्म जो भी, इस जन्म में मुझे सिर्फ एक ही आदमी ने सपोर्ट करा, उसने मेरी इज्जत रखी, मेरी लाज रखी, वो था दुर्योधन. मैं मरूंगा तो इसी की साइड, क्योंकि आप तो परमात्मा ईश्वर स्वरूप कृष्ण जी सामने, मतलब ईश्वर स्वरूप क्या, ईश्वर खुद ही सामने खड़ा है, तो हमारी तो हार सुनिश्चित है. लेकिन मैं मरूंगा तो इसके साथ ही. कृष्ण ने कहा कमाल बात है. देन ही ब्लेस्ड हिम, एंड बेसिकली कि मैं पिछला का क्या करूं, मैं तो आज के कर्म करूंगा ना. आज मेरे को देखना है कि आज दुर्योधन मेरे साथ खड़ा था. मैं होऊंगा पांडुपुत्र, लेकिन मुझे तो बहा दिया गया. that's pretty much it, right? तो और राधा कुंती पुत्र specifically, because he was Surya's direct descendant. He was practically speaking Suraj Maharaj incarnate. But anyway, let's not get into Mahabharata. more, I would say. So you're going to get rejected before at the cost of repetition. I believe that I've covered out all the points. Do not get depressed. You're going to get rejected. You please grieve over it. Be depressed. Cry over it. Ruminate about it for 2 to 3 odd years. Then you let it go. But always remember, there was nothing particularly wrong with you. You were just taking an exam which was measuring you on a different yardstick than who you truly were, and that's why you got rejected. It's as simple as that. Whenever you apply for 10 interviews at a company, perhaps 6 are going to reject you, maybe even four, only 4 accept you. That doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with those 6. They are different people. You are different. An intellectual, like for example Imtiaz Ali ki picture, is not going to do as well as, for example, a Durandar. It never truly will, because बहुत कम लोग उसको देख के appreciate कर पाएंगे. And that doesn't mean that Dhurandhar is bad or the audience that is watching Dhurandhar is bad. It's absolutely okay that they do not. Tamasha wali audience might just not appreciate Dhurandhar, and Dhurandhar wali audience might just not appreciate Tamasha. Right? That doesn't make either of them incorrect. We are all trying to conquer the world, basically, in trying to make everyone accept us. I mean, that's just not going to happen. अभी भी हमें पीछे जैसे एक फ़ोन कॉल आई, वो जी आपका वो 1-2 ऐसे रिव्यू करें। हाँ, तो भाई उन बच्चों को नहीं पसंद आया, तो उसमें तो 1200 में से अगर 2 लोग नहीं पसंद आ रहे, अगर 1200 रिव्यूज़ हैं टोटल, तो व्हाट अबाउट द 1198 हू एक्सेप्टेड? दैट्स व्हाट इन साइकोलॉजी वी मोस्टली कॉल एज़ द मिसिंग टाइल सिंड्रोम, कि वही दिखाई देता है कि बस वो जो मिसिंग जो चीज़ जो है, वो नहीं दिखाई देती जो मिल गई, है ना? जो मिसिंग टाइल पूरी 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 दीवार बिल्कुल ठीक कर दी, लेकिन वो एक कोना छूट गया, तो वो नज़र उसी पे जाती है। तो हाँ, तो मतलब 2 लोगों को अगर नहीं पसंद आ रहे, तो इट्स अ लेजिटिमेट, इट्स अ वेरी लेजिटिमेट कंसर्न. हाँ, तो भगवान सबको नहीं खुश कर पाए. इवन भगवान गेट्स रिजेक्टेड. Beat that. God gets rejected by atheists, Gnostics, Charvak philosophy, lefties. He gets rejected. I mean, he's God at the end of the day. When he's getting rejected, when Sri Ram can get criticized, when Sri Krishna's policies can get criticized, do you think Kaurav's Mata really liked Lord Krishna? Like she really liked him, and the slaughter of all of her sons, mostly except for Yuyutsu, who went one side. I think Yuyutsu was not even a direct son, but again, let's not get into those details of Mahabharata again. तो कैसे होगा यार ये? तो जीवन में अगर रिजेक्शन मिली, रो लेना, पिट लेना, डिप्रेशन में मत जाना. There's nothing particularly wrong with you. Of course, you can always improve. You can get your physique up, improve your looks, improve in the manner that you speak, perhaps raise your intellectual frequency, whatever you want to work at. Then you can perhaps. But that doesn't necessarily mean that particular individual is bound to love you or bound to accept you. Might just not happen. If let us say that you are MP Jain of Constitution, or Lakshmikant of Polity, or you are any of these guys, and let us say that you are placed in a physics honors wala course in a library of in the library of IIT JEE, unless and until till the time those graduates start preparing for UPSC, you are of absolute no use, because they are computer science folks. If they are pursuing CS, that is, that's it. है ना? आपके साथ कुछ नहीं. You are the most beloved person of your parents. You are an absolute unique manifestation of the entire universe, I would say, with very individualistic traits, with a lot of pros, some bit of cons that exist in all of us. And you are you. You be proud of you. You do you. And जो भी आप हैं, अपने आप को इम्प्रूवमेंट, अपनी फिनेस वगैरह करके इम्प्रूव करके, बट अपने बेसिक नेचर, कौआ चला हंस की चाल, ना कौआ ना लगा कौआ ना लगा हंस, ऐसा मतलब करके जो पूरा जो सेंटेंस है, ना कौए रहेंगे ना हंस. कौए बनाए हैं भगवान ने, अगर कौआ बनाया है ना, तो कौआ बन के ही अपने एक्सीलेटर लगाना, उसी रास्ते पे आगे चल देना. Always remember Moosewala's example. Didn't know English, doesn't know how to speak in English. Diljit Dosanjh doesn't know how to speak in English. Whomsoever they are running with it, and they ran with it, and it's massive success. Right? Doesn't mean that Moosewala is going to get appreciated by everyone. Satinder Sartaaj is for a different audience. Moosewala is for a different audience. I like both of them. I have peculiar traits that are unique to me. I like both of them. That doesn't necessarily mean that people who dislike Musewala are absolutely, idiots, or who dislike Sartaj are absolute idiots. They're just, whosoever they are, they're running with it, right? So you be you. कौवा बना के भेजा है भगवान ने, कौवा बन के चले जाना, हंस बनने की कोशिश भी मत करना. You will look like a bloody fool, right? And that's why when people with these very very fake accents on Instagram try to pretend to be all of this, the hotness from South Delhi and South Bombay, and suddenly your accent goes like this, it just it is just so funny. It is just so funny to observe, because दूर से दिख जाता है यार कि मतलब यार ये आदमी इस दुनिया का तो पक्का नहीं. Then basically what you are traditionally called as a wannabe, right? तो आप जो हैं बल्कि उसमें गर्व खा के उसमें एक्सीलेटर लगाएं. जैसे हमारे पैसे वाले मित्र, वो तो नहीं हटते ना अपने पैसे की, तो हम क्यों अपनी इंटेलेक्चुअल बनती, हम क्यों अपनी पढ़ाई, और हम क्यों अपने ज्ञान, और हम क्यों अपना स्पीकिंग स्टाइल बदलेंगे जी इनके लिए, है ना जी. इनको ये मुबारक, हमको हम मुबारक. एंड दैट नोट आई क्लोज ऑन बॉर्डर्स डायलॉग कि तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो, तो हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम, है ना. तो डिप्रेशन में मत मरना. You will get rejected. May God bless you with rejections, a bit at least. And hopefully you learn more and more and more, and just don't have an existential crisis. On that note, I take your leave. Wishing you folks all the very best. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.